From the Standing Stone Farm Studio right outside downtown Nashville, it's time for the most ridiculous sports podcast in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen as Bobby Butler and Brandon Bond crack open a cold one and talk all things hockey, pop culture, and complain about everyday situations. It's the Pucks Out Podcast on the Penalty Box Radio Network.
Welcome into the most ridiculous podcast in sports and pop culture. I'm Bobby. He's Brandon.
Heyo.
With us today is Nashville royalty, co-host of the Preds, Pucks, Pinoys, and editor-in-chief at Penalty Box Radio Network. Justin Bradford is with us today. You can find us on the three majors of social media at Pucks Out Pod. Now let's keep drinking these beers and let's get after it. We are at Mayday Brewery for a live show. So we've got trains, we've got sounds.
We've got a forklift right in front of us right now.
So we're here for your entertainment pleasure. Justin, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I have a triple threat beer in front of me, which is a combination of concoction you can only get at Mayday. So if you want to try that, you got to come to Mayday for that too. And it's perfect for a warm summer day.
Yeah, I've got this Burro Blonde and one of their pepperoni pizzas, and this is good living. This is what, when I signed on to be a podcaster, this is it.
I'm drinking the inner I know, Daddy's Money, right? Yeah, Daddy's Money, the hazy IPA here. I'm loving it. This is what I signed on for too, Bobby. Drinking beer at a brewery with our semi-boss Justin Bradford here. He really helped us out in the beginning. Now we've gotten our flow, but we will never forget the first time I met this guy when we got off a plane in the coldest week of the year in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I shook this guy's hand. I don't even know if we even felt each other's hands when we shook hands. It was so cold.
Honestly, I loved that trip, and that was what a great memory. Because, right now it is very hot here in Nashville. It's not even the hottest day of the week. It's about 86 degrees, and we're under shade, but we're boiling. And I always get, you know how a lot of people get seasonal depression in the winter? That's what I do in the summer. So when we were in Minneapolis at negative 11 degrees, I was thriving.
I was honestly, as much beer as we drank there, I was much more healthy because I'm a smoker and I could not smoke. We were there for like 6 days and I had maybe a half of 7 cigarettes. So
you know what's funny about that trip too is my girlfriend Alex booked that thinking, oh, what's March? It's like spring break. And we get there and it's snowing. And you see snow on top of SpongeBob outside the Mall of America. She's like, I really didn't think this through. I'm like, honey, it was Minneapolis in March.
Didn't it got above 0 degrees there for 1 hour the entire time we were there, right? Yeah.
So much snow.
It
so
was
cold.
so much.
And
it was
for them,
so
that was
beautiful,
short
though.
weather.
So it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Those Uber drivers, they were not playing around, dude. They just whipped it around.
Yeah. As someone who was taking they don't call it Uber there, but something the same in Jamaica, it's equivalent. Yeah. They just are, they're going to get you there. But all right, guys, today we've got a bunch of news from around the league. We've got our question time with Justin Bradford. And we got a MCU Heroes draft.
Yes.
So let's jump straight into the news. We got a bunch today.
Everything you need to know about what's happening on the ice. It's time for news from inside the boards.
Don't forget to also check us out on What a Maneuver and Patreon to support the show. Usually these last couple of weeks, for the last couple of months, we've been promoing a live show, but
we're here. We're
not promoting a live show. Justin, you got anything to promo while you're here with us?
Actually, yes. And this is the first time I'm going to say this to people publicly.
Yeah. We love to be breaking news here on the Pucks Out podcast.
So Penalty Box Radio, we've been doing these things where we take a lot of trips with the group and we try to bring a VIP guest on. I mean, we were going to do a cruise with Stu Grimson and Lindsay Raleigh that obviously got canceled for reasons.
I wonder why. What's been happening over the past year and a half?
Oh gosh. And we did a fantastic trip to DC when the Preds went and whooped up on the Capitals there on the mom's trip and everything. That was a lot of fun. We did a Winter Classic trip at a huge New Year's Eve party. So we have another trip coming up. It's to Cancun in the off season of 2022. Well, we have our VIP guest booked, and that VIP guest will be the one and only Pete Weber.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Him and his wife Claudia will be coming and join us in Cancun, and we're going to have special opportunities to interact with Pete. We'll have a cocktail hour. We'll have a special session that's going to be like an adults-only story time with Pete Weber, who, if you've never met Pete Weber, he has his fair share of adults-only stories to tell that are just not safe for public consumption unless it's 18 plus.
We might, if we happen to get up on that trip, we may record it and we may never be invited again, but we're going to have the content.
No, it's going to be fantastic, guys. So it's not on the main strip on Cancun. It's way off and secluded, but on the beach. It's a private beach, full-on resort with a water park, a zip line, and everything on here, too, with even swim-up suites as well, which is going to be perfect. Plus, Pete Weber is going to be there for story time. It's going to be fantastic. You were the first guys to know about that because I just finally secured that. So.
What an honor. And we will do everything we can to hopefully be there.
Lock us down. Look, we have
without talking to our significant others.
Your wife and my fiance are here. It seems like there may be some breakups and divorces in the future if we're not able to go on these trips.
Also, I forgot to mention, it's an all-inclusive resort.
Oh, you have said Brandon and Bobby's two favorite words, okay? All inclusive.
And the food, which is included in the all inclusive, is one of the top rated for this resort in all of Cancun.
Bobby, we're in. You said 2022? We have so long to save for that.
July of 2022.
I can double it as a birthday trip.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Payment plans are available for it too, but also you're going to get to hear stories from Pete Weber that you typically just will not hear from him from all of the stories in sports. He's been around it all, and he has some hilarious stories.
And it sounds like we might have an insider, so we can get a one-on-one with Pete Weber, maybe.
Right,
absolutely. I can hook you up.
That's going to be Patreon content, but hey, maybe even OnlyFans.
We'll put it on the Pucks Out OnlyFans. No, that sounds amazing. I am in. I don't have to. Look, you said. Look, all I have to do to sell Stephanie. All inclusive, okay?
Right there. There you go.
Right there. Boom.
But, all right, let's actually jump into some news from around the league. Austin Matthews out at least 6 weeks with a wrist surgery. That is obviously he's one of the elite players of this league. What do you guys think that does for this Leafs team? I mean, 6 weeks, while it's not a long time, it's a first good chunk of the season where you're kind of trying to find your stride. And listen, that Leafs team, they need it. They as good. No matter how much talent they have, there's a curse on that team. So how do you guys think this, do you think that this is good for his season? Maybe he can make it a little bit longer into the postseason or what?
What do you think, Justin? I think that, like you said, the first part of the season is extremely important to set the tone, but we know it's not always the most important. We saw what the Predators did in the last half of the season last year. I think that that's a team that, honestly, a lot of guys could probably step up and give them a little more confidence outside of those big stars. I think that it really just depends on how that team comes together in my mind.
Yeah, for Austin Matthews, 6 weeks when you start doing the math, that he still should be ready by the beginning of the season. He's going to miss most preseason.
I guess I read it as 6 weeks of the season.
6 weeks of the season? Oh.
I might have read it differently.
Maybe.
Yeah. I thought it said he's going to miss 6 weeks, so I heard that as he's going to miss 6 weeks of the season.
Then maybe he does miss that, and maybe I misread it as well.
If you're reading it, I was just I heard it on NHL on Sirius XM this morning.
It says he needs 6 weeks to recover from the procedure, which will take him to the start of training camp.
Okay.
But to your point, though, still, too, most players want to come into training camp. Boom, they're already ready to go, right? They've been off-season training because, most NHL players, they might take 2 or 3 weeks off when their season ends, and they're right back into the thick of things. It is not sitting back, relaxing on the beach the entire time. Yeah, they may be doing that, but they're also training really hard during the day all the time. We see videos of that of guys that are really good on social media. So Austin Matthews, especially given the production that you expect out of him as well, is that you want him to have full success in the preseason as well, just to be getting prepped. So it's one of those things that, conditioning. So he's not going to be able to do that. Now, his leg should be fine. Everything else should be fine. It's just that wrist injury. So you may see a slower start in the season, but he should be just fine really getting back up and going, only missing 6 weeks. But you just don't want to rush it either. But that's the good thing is at least you usually have they have a preseason this year. That's the good thing, too, is they actually have a preseason. They didn't have that last season. You had the messed up 2020. So it'll be good for them to have some time to get back into the swing of things.
What does worry me is the fact that this is a wrist injury for a guy who is a scorer. And now, yes, everyone looks at, he'll be rehabbed, he'll be better. Not every rehab and rest leads to a recovery.
Right.
So the question is, can his wrist recover because that.
Not everybody's Adrian Peterson, who can take 3 months on a ACL type of deal. I really think that the biggest thing is obviously the wrist being, him being a scorer is a factor, and it could be a little longer than that, but it's not going to take it too far in, even if it's 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It's only a little bit into the season. I'm thinking more about the being in game shape. I mean, hockey is such a physical sport that, going out and running and, getting prepared and being on the ice and skating doesn't really get you prepared to take a hit from a
games
right. Exactly. You get in that physical shape. So I think we're talking about one of the premier players in this league, though.
100%.
I don't think that is a huge factor, but if we're talking about what could be a hindrance, I think that's probably what.
Now,
could
this is not the Fantasy Goon show. Do you think this affects at all his draft value at all?
No. He's gonna more than make up for it.
Agreed.
I mean, look at what he did last season, right? I mean, he was only 6 goals shy of where he was in 70 games in 2020, with only playing 52 games in 2021. So. He's primed. That should not hurt his value whatsoever. And if it does hurt his value, then the winners are going to be the people that pick later.
That's what I was about to say.
Someone's stupid enough to let him go.
If he falls outside the first round and you don't snag him, you're an idiot, in my opinion.
That's on you.
I mean, and like even with the risk factor of, this wrist injury is worse than we thought, the surgery didn't take. It's a calculated risk that you have to take in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. It's like when you always take Connor McDavid in the playoff pool. Yeah, you know what the risk is, but what are you going to not take him?
He could go out first round, but that guy could also score because he will. But the thing is,
so many points.
The thing is, he could score 30 goals and 30 assists in that first round, and then I'm the idiot for not taking it. I'm just going to take him in the. And I don't even know why you guys are complaining. I'm the champion. I'm the reigning champ of our playoff pool. So please get back, sir.
All right. Jaromir Jagr, who is now 50 years old, planning to continue playing. And a quote from, I believe, The Athletic or ESPN. I didn't credit it, but I put it in quotes, but didn't credit. Jaromir Jagr said that he will continue to play because it's his responsibility as the owner of Kladno, and he fears the club might shut down if he retires. His stats,
Pete Rose in it, huh?
He scored 15. He scored 29 points in 1920. And probably in 1920, but the 2019-2020 season. And last year he scored
just a wee lad.
Yeah, a wee lad of like 40. I mean, Jaromir Jagr is one of those guys that we're going on 4 years now. I've said I wish he did a victory lap of the league and I got to sign a 1-day contract with every team just so I could have I want a Preds jersey with Jaromir Jagr. I mean, every fan deserves a Jaromir Jagr jersey. Half the fans in the league get that privilege to have their
traveling
team.
Jagrs.
Yeah.
That would be sick. He just signs everywhere and everybody's like, okay, I'll get a Jagr jersey.
So my question is, do you guys think, obviously he is with his hometown team, do you think there is any place for Jaromir Jagr, one of the greats of all time, in the NHL? Maybe if you want to have a hot take, maybe as a player, but do you think he should come back as a coach of some sort? I mean, I think he should come back as a coach somewhere. I mean, what a great hockey mind.
I thought you were talking about to play again. I was like, man, I just don't feel like he's wanting to do that. Could this man come in and play? Probably. There's no question about him being able to find a role on a team. But
the Coyotes need saving. Maybe he'll go play with keep them in.
But you suggesting? I mean, yeah. I mean, as far as having a role in the NHL, no question. I mean, he is a player that people that don't know about hockey know about.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that guy that is a pretty outstanding person for the league. So I think the league would be lucky to have him somewhere.
They would be. I just don't know if that's where he wants to be.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's obviously proven that he prefers to be back home in the comfort of where home is for him as well. And what he's done as well with NHL is I'm not sure there's much, given his personality type and things like that, in terms of like player development. I don't see a role for him there. Maybe it's in ownership, or maybe it's something like that towards less hands-on with that, but not a general manager, not player development, not even a scout necessarily. He's a legendary hockey player, and we've seen with so many different ones. I mean, look at Wayne Gretzky. He tried so many different things. Just hasn't really worked out. Now he's going to give a shot at commentary. we're going to see how that goes.
Oh, I'm so excited
as well. So some players just need to be okay with letting them be the legendary player that they were and not have to continue in that way. Unless they're back home, like in the Czech Republic, that's totally fine because that's comfort for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys like that, guys like Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and Jaromir Jagr, they were too good at what they did to where they don't understand why these guys can't be them. And that's why Michael Jordan will never be a great basketball coach, is because he can never get it through his mind of why you can't just do this. Well, because I'm not you, Mike.
Yeah,
right.
It is a rare specimen if you can be a great player and then a great, like Peyton Manning is in the middle of that Venn diagram.
I
For example, Jason Witten, great player, horrible commentator. Tony Romo, great commentator. What do you think his game was?
No, I mean, there's a lot of guys like that where, they have niches. They're better at what they, you can be the greatest player ever and not be a great coach, and you can be a semi-okay player and be a great coach. I mean, it's just a skill set.
Well, let's look at this too in terms of the league to keep this rolling. Look at most NHL coaches and those that have won cups and taken their teams with longevity to Stanley Cups. They weren't always the best player. They just weren't. I mean, even nowadays too, you see what Barry Trotz has been able to do with his teams when he's been able to given talent, like with Washington and with the Islanders. He wasn't the best. When I say not the best, he didn't play in the NHL. I mean, he just didn't have that. Yeah. Even Peter Laviolette had a taste, but overall, no. I mean, so many of these guys, they weren't there because their hockey mindset, their IQ was probably there, but their body just wasn't necessarily there, and that's totally fine because you can make a living as a great coach as long as you understand the game.
That's what I was literally about to say if you didn't say it. The hockey IQ was there. They know the sport. They just physically couldn't do it at that level. And that's what makes a great coach. They understand their capabilities and their limitations, but their mind is there and it's still available to hockey. So I completely 100% agree with you.
So continuing on with Father Time, Joe Thornton, 42, signs a 1-year deal with the Panthers. I mean, I love that Joe Thornton's I love Joe Thornton as a player. One of those guys, I wish he would win a cup. Do you guys think, obviously, we just did our beer side chats and you said one of your sleeper picks for going to the cup is the Florida Panthers. Do you think Joe Thornton is he more of just a leadership role, or do you think he actually still has what it takes to push them over that ledge?
Not push them over the ledge, but definitely more of a leadership type of aspect, because Florida overall is still a very young team that can obviously learn from Joe Thornton. I mean, they have a great veteran like Patrick Hornquist, who's won a cup on there as well, but bringing in a veteran like that, if anything, as long as it's not taking away from experience of one of the younger players, he does have so much NHL experience. He's played with so many different types of players as well, between the Bruins and the Sharks and then even the Maple Leafs. So he's seen what it's like to be on a quote-unquote super team, as much super as you can get in the NHL, with Toronto and still not make it. How can he apply that experience to the Florida Panthers, who have a lot of great potential? Like, seriously, a lot of great potential there. They have a head coach that knows what he's doing, has been around superstar talent, but how to just bring that in. So Florida is one of those teams, I say, kind of a sleeper pick, because they have the talent, they have a coach, they have a lot of those pieces in place that maybe they could put some things together, and a veteran presence like that too. You just never know what could happen. Yeah.
Now, one thing I do think is going to be great is that Joe Thornton he is in a place where he is comfortable. He can have bridge games, bingo nights. He is going to be in his prime spot there in Florida. He can go to a retirement home just 15 minutes away from the stadium. They serve dinner at like 4 p.m., which is great for him. But all right, let's move to outside the NHL.
Now that you know what's happening inside the boards, time for the rest of the headlines with news from outside the boards.
We've got some college football shakeups. We've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. Things keep changing. The Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC are forming an alliance. The commissioners have met. There were still a lot of things in the works, but it looks like we are at the beginning stages of the NCAA, foundation changing.
The death of the NCAA.
Hey, I'm here for it.
We do not need you.
I mean, you've got the SEC almost, being more of a super conference. You've got these guys. I mean, what? So obviously, I think this is great for those conferences. What do you guys think this does for these smaller conferences? the Big 12 or even whatever MTSU is in, is it the MAC 10 or something like that?
They are in the
I'm having a brain fart of what
It's not the Sun Belt
All-American.
anymore.
Yeah,
It's not the Sun Belt.
I was a Sun Belt boy here in MTSU.
I feel
think
like it's like the MAC
American Conference.
the
That's-
AAC.
AAC.
That's what Cincinnati's in, right?
Please, MTSU.
Then there's live looking it up here. And
Yeah, I thought I knew it.
We're not even going to be cutting this. So like now we're just going to, you're just going to be hearing
Conference
us look it
USA.
up.
That's it.
Yeah. I knew it was American
the
in some
CUSA.
way. The CUSA. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's going to be good for the competitiveness of the football. If you're, a small school fan, I think it's going to be bad financially for those schools because now you have these major conferences that used to pay a boatload of money to bring one of these teams in or go play a home and home with one of these smaller teams that maybe they won't have to because they're going to be expanding conference play in every situation.
Unless they add more games to the schedule, they're not going to have time to get these small guys in.
Yeah, I think it's rough for the small schools. I think it's overall good for college football.
And
fans.
I think this was an inevitable path for college football to take. It's not always the best. There are obviously pros and cons of all this happening, but I think that's one of those. It's collateral damage.
It's inevitable in my mind because of the way that the NCAA has handled everything these past few years. They've had this dictatorship on it, and there's been no rhyme or reason to their decisions. A guy like Bruce Pearl, who self-reports himself for having a guy at a barbecue, gets a 3-year show cause. And then the next guy that does something similar and doesn't say anything gets really nothing. Gets a couple games slap on the wrist, doesn't get fired. They have set themselves up for this by not working with all of these big schools who have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of endowments that eventually they were going to realize we don't need you.
Yeah. So, Justin, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So the big thing is we all know it always comes down to money, right? It always comes down to money. You think about what TV networks must be salivating over a partnership and alliance like this of knowing that you're going to have big teams playing each other every year, that you're going to set these things up to where you could have, like, say, an Ohio State playing Oregon and what that could do for TV viewership.
Every Saturday.
A USC playing a Penn State or a Wisconsin or a Michigan playing Washington, those types of things, how it's making it towards cross country. I mean, that's when expansion really started too. You think about this, SEC and Big Ten, when they started really expanding, it was about the network audience because the money's going to bring in. Big Ten wanted to get into the New York market, Rutgers. They brought in Rutgers. That's you get into the New York market because that is a huge television market. And maybe not for football, but you have in other conferences too where people might be watching. At least it's being in there and being in those things. Then you have the SEC, how they really expanded to go west. And you look at what they did with Texas and some of those bigger markets over there in Texas and just expanding there. Big Ten, getting more into the actual Midwest, the Great Plains and everything too. It all comes down to money. And so you're seeing that, like you said, Bobby, it's inevitable because it comes down to money and what that's going to do because with the advancements in technology and travel and everything of that sort, there's no reason these teams should just be playing each other when it could mean more for rankings when they can play other big teams as part of a partnership and an alliance instead of having to plan it 7 years out and say, yeah, we can't wait to see you. The guys that are here aren't going to be able to play it, but all the ones we're going to recruit are going to be able to play it. No, it's going to be part of the schedule if, for instance, this happens. But to what Brandon said, it is going to be detrimental to a lot of these smaller teams or some of these teams that, for instance, I'll throw out Cincinnati because they're projected to be really good once again this year, that they are in that mid-tier conference, but they're doing what they can. They're winning their games. They're winning the schedule that's been given to them, but how are they going to prove themselves if all these other big schools are not even going to play them or be willing to play them unless it's the playoffs?
Yeah.
So there's that trade-off that's going to happen between these conferences of, they're going to make a lot more money. What's it going to do to college football overall? It's going to be difficult for recruiting for these smaller schools, and you're probably going to see other tiers start to happen because you're going to have your major tier conferences that they're probably going to have to develop something else for these mid-levels because they're just not going to be able to break through. So what's the point if they can't even break through to compete for a national championship?
That was a point that I thought of after I ended in speaking was recruiting. We've gone past the guys going into big time college football to win national championships.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a bonus, and there are some guys that still do that. Some guys that still go and sign with Alabama because they want to win a national championship, or Clemson because they want to win a national championship. But the biggest things for these guys now is that they are more literate exposure. The more exposure you have, the more likely you are to get drafted higher, the more likely you are, even if you fail in the NFL. If you understand and get a big contract early, because they may realize this is all that I'm going to get. The average time for a professional football player is what? 1.7 years?
Yeah,
you know,
like that,
it's not high.
Make your money.
Make your money when you can make it. And it's hard to blame these guys. And just to expand on this, a lot of these big running backs that have been holding out because they're on their rookie contracts, people are upset about it. But why? They're the only people in the world that can do the job they're doing. Why in the world are they not getting paid the money for that job?
And they're sacrificing their bodies and everything too. Get paid because your career's not going to last that long. Get paid because that's the way it's built. You have to play the system the way the system is playing you already. So get that money, and if you're smart with that money, you and your family set for life. In the future, your family set for life. If you were getting that just rookie contract, or even if it's just $5 million and you invest that properly, you have a good financial advisor as a former professional athlete, you're set.
These billionaires have been exploiting these young guys because the NFL, you know, and they've been just touting that. And now we're upset at these young players for understanding that they're exploiting me. So I'm going to exploit myself instead of letting you exploit.
Play the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
Everyone wants to applaud when teams get great deals, but everyone wants to bitch and moan when the player gets a good deal.
Right. Why didn't he take a hometown deal? Because he's going to have CTE in 4 years.
And, you know, and one of the things is, look at, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Every Notre Dame fan, or at least rational Notre Dame fan, can recognize that we recognize that every year we are ranked way too high on the top 25, and we do really well but when it comes to playoff time, we are not great because at the end of the day.
So this is just you. You are just talking about you. I would like to meet the Notre Dame fan that also feels this way.
But the reason Notre Dame always gets these 5-star recruits is immediately linked to why Notre Dame, it's like that NBC deal is their holy grail. They know that as long as they have that sole deal, they can put those players up on a pedestal.
Good, bad, you're going to get exposure.
You're getting
no matter what
time.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if they're playing St. Mary's School for the Blind. You're going to be on prime time network. And that's why
honestly I would watch. I would watch a Notre Dame.
It'll be a nail biter.
A blind school.
that's why I'm reading all these, and it all comes down to, well, which of these super conferences is going to get Notre Dame, because you get that NBC deal.
Yeah. Well, it's the biggest thing is you said it to me this morning, and I was getting ready to come up here. I mean, unfortunately for the SEC, who I thought was the front runner to eventually land Notre Dame, I don't think there's any way that this new super conference of the ACC, Pac-12, and the Big Ten, like you said, they have all of their rivals that they already want to play every year.
And they're treating it like the Cowboys and the rest of the NFL. Like that super conference, they're going to profit share. They said, no, Notre Dame, you can keep 100% of your profits. Yeah. They're treating them like the Cowboys because at the end of the day,
it's smart.
Notre Dame is. I mean,
it's the way to land it. And before this deal came out, I was like, there's no way that Notre Dame would go and join either the ACC, the Big Ten, or the Pac-12. It doesn't make any sense for them.
They don't have to.
The SEC would have made the most sense for them. It's the biggest conference. But now, I mean, all of the teams that they wanted to keep on their schedule
Ohio State,
are
Stanford,
on their schedule.
Well, not Texas anymore, but all Clemson. They get to play all those.
Well, they'll probably get to schedule an out-of-conference game, and Texas is probably willing to do that.
Yeah,
so
Texas will do whatever because Texas can.
Yeah.
Texas is. I'm interested to see how having two UTs, how both UTs are going to take it.
Already.
They are already. We're the real. I've heard we're the real UT, and I still don't know what fan you are. You guys both say it.
One of my favorite things is like whenever I'm in Knoxville, I'll always refer to University of Tennessee UTK, and they're like, we're UT, and it's like, okay, then what are they? And it's like, well, they're UT something. I'm like, okay, well, it's just easy to call it UTK. But all right, let's move in. We've got a bunch of questions lined up for you. We're so happy to have you on here. We're probably gonna have some follow-ups from the beer side chats. So let's just start it off. This is a hockey podcast. You talk hockey all day, but if it's not hockey, what other sport? If you weren't always talking hockey all day, what sport would you be talking?
Gosh, I mean, that's actually a really good question. It got me thinking too, because I'm a fan of sports just in general, and I love watching sports. I mean, I'm a Titans fan. I don't try to be immediate I don't have to be unbiased when talking about the Titans as well. And then I've obviously become a Nashville SC fan, keeping track of what they're doing, and it's been a fantastic start to the franchise overall.
Really has.
Yeah, and it's been incredible. And that's one of those things too. I mean, for the Predators, and I know we'll probably talk about it for the future of the team, is that you have 2 sports franchises in Nashville that are on the uphill climb right now with the Titans and SC, and the Predators are lingering right now. There's a huge battle for money from fans, for ticket sales and corporate sponsors and everything. So it's going to be curious to see how that gets handled now because SC's doing so well. But for me, the past couple of years too, I've really gotten into racing, NASCAR, and getting into that. And then especially open wheel racing.
So fun. NASCAR is so much fun to just watch on a Saturday.
It is.
I respectfully disagree. I've tried many. I want to be that guy.
Bobby,
I've tried, and I'm just like, this is
the folks on here know
this
that Bobby has decided that he doesn't like NASCAR, so he will never be able to like it.
I want to like NASCAR.
You do not.
Yes, I do. But it's just like I like F1. F1 I like.
Right, yeah.
I don't like the fact that they just go in circles. I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, they have street races in NASCAR too.
I haven't seen that, but you piqued my interest.
Yeah, they have
but it's
the
left turn, left
Daytona.
turn, left turn. If you throw some jumps in there, some ramps on those left turns, throw some deer out there.
It's the way that I used to think as well. That it's just left turn. Dude, there is so much more to NASCAR.
And I'm sure there's I'm not one of those guys who's like,
involved.
There are some of those people like, oh,
I mean,
it's not
mainly. That's mainly it. But
listen, there are a lot of people like, oh, it's not a sport. You're just driving. I recognize the athleticism involved. I recognize that it's a sport.
I've never said that.
And I recognize it is one of the most popular sports. But I've tried it. It's hard to get into. Yeah. Because it's so I'm like watching. I'm like, I'm 30 minutes in. I'm like, I've just seen that number go.
You've never taken a Sunday nap watching a NASCAR race. It's very clear because that is the most wonderful thing ever.
The other thing, open wheel race, like the Grand Prix. Sorry, not Grand.
Oh,
the Grand Prix. That was
I would have said Grand myself.
The Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix in downtown Nashville was really awesome. Just witness and to be there. And to experience that. Open wheel racing's fun, and it's a different kind of sound from NASCAR in terms of the types of engines that they're running and everything, but it is a fantastic experience, the speed on there, and it's really cool to see the different backgrounds when you have F1 and IndyCar and seeing where these drivers are coming from. And I just started watching the F1 series on Netflix documentary of the Drive to Survive, and it's just pretty interesting to see the stories that a lot of these guys are coming from, but also the world tour that they get to go on when you're in F1. And even with IndyCar, of what they're doing to see all these different tracks as well. So it's a pretty fascinating sport to me. I have some friends that are very, very much into it. I've been learning a lot from them, but it's a lot of fun to see. And then even what I enjoy too, and you see it more with NASCAR, you definitely see it with F1 and Indy drivers not wanting to hold back in what they're saying in their interviews.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was when Boudoir was rammed by Ericsson, who ended up winning the Grand Prix last week, and that took Boudoir out. He's like, just being a douche. That's what he said in the back. Just like when Chase Elliott was flipping off Kyle Busch last season as well, was pretty cool too. And you want to see that personality. And that's what I think we're missing in hockey still is more personality from these players. They're getting too much into that cliche types of, obviously the Shea Weber thing, where they have personalities, that they're gaming, they're doing all these other things, and you want to hear personality from these guys. Other sports are doing a fantastic job of embracing personality. The NBA does a great job of that. The NFL is getting better at it. But you want
the
to see
MLB
personality.
still is not.
No, MLB,
where are they at?
It's all pastime stuff. But I will say,
here's the Field of Dreams
thing. Yeah, the Field of Dreams thing though was pretty awesome.
So we did it in 1920, and that's how we're still gonna do it.
Yammer Yager was there.
Yeah. I am glad that I didn't get to watch the Field of Dreams game, but I saw that it was high scoring, and that was one of my things. Is I was like, that needs to be a high scoring game. They need to be hitting dingers into the cornfield.
Metal bats. Bring metal bats into baseball.
Metal bats and force them to take steroids.
Mandatory steroids and metal bats is going to revert baseball.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's really frustrating to me because it's hard to sit down and watch a baseball game on TV for me. But I love going to a live baseball game.
They're great.
Live baseball game is literally the best sport to watch in live.
And honestly, it's less the baseball sport that I've seen live. It's the sport of heckling that I participate in. That is the best part.
Oh, you're that guy.
We're both that guy.
Well, we
have two different styles.
He is the shock and awe heckler. where he says stuff that not everybody can laugh at. I'm a more of a clean G-rated heckler. Like I tell the umpire that his mom doesn't want him home for Thanksgiving.
Whereas I call the batter a prom night dumpster baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's one of my more G-rated ones.
That is very much.
Yeah. But but we both achieve our goal of he gets the laughs and I get the and I definitely get the best is when the player stops what he's doing in the batter box and just looks at you. That's when you know you've won, and they're full into it. They're like, okay, you've got me.
He did once tell a batter that he bets his mom wishes that she was pro-choice.
I wasn't gonna say that.
It was right. I mean, cut it if you want, but look, I mean, that's the difference of ours. It's like I say, like, hey, I hope you have wet socks tomorrow. Like it's not bad.
That's a true
but
frustration, though.
But
it's
like
frustration.
It's terrible, and nobody wants it.
Or telling the team or I think we were telling some minor league team from Atlanta. Oh, was that a soccer game? A team? Yeah, we were telling Atlanta fans we hope they hit traffic on the way home.
Yeah, it's like,
They will. Just no doubt.
They will. Look. We said a lot of things to them, just joking back and forth. It was literally the first pro game. You remember when it was raining currently now First Horizon, but it was First Tennessee then. We said that, and I have never seen somebody agree but be so offended at the same time. They were just like shocked.
Why would you do that to us?
And appalled. Like, we're obviously going to hit traffic, but why would you wish it upon us now on a Saturday?
Right. All right. So we all, every here at this table, we spend much of our day talking about the Preds.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick a team other than the Preds, who are you choosing?
Now, are we talking about if I'm cheering for or covering?
Cheering as a fan.
Yeah. If I was cheering as a fan. So me, I like to go with the ones that are less talked about, that are considered underdogs, that always get made fun of. I tend to identify with those a lot.
Sounds like you're talking about the Maple Leafs.
No. 100% opposite. I'm talking about like the Coyotes, the Panthers, even the Islanders, because it's the Rangers area up there. Those types of teams.
Little brother.
Yeah, all those ones. So for me, because they've been made fun of so much, I know I said it before, but I'll go with the Panthers.
What'd you do, Justin?
He said Panthers.
Hey, duck down.
Dodge, dip, dive, whatever. Yeah,
and dodge. The 5 Ds of dodgeball.
But I think the Panthers, one, because I love watching Barkov, and because you think of the what if Barkov would have came to the Preds, if they would have had an opportunity.
I mean, hey, that's going to be the best episode of that new Disney Plus series. What if?
I know. What if Colorado did what they were supposed to do?
They're getting real specific with these episodes.
The Panthers, their old school Panthers logo is one of my favorite of all time. I have an old Brian Campbell jersey with that on it, and it is just so sick to me. I cannot believe they switched it up from that.
Yeah, and the new one is curious.
It's not the worst, but it's not great.
Yeah, curious.
Honest.
That's why I use the word curious.
Curious. Yeah. You're just being
curious.
nice.
I am being nice. But yeah, I like some of the things that are going on down there, and it's cool to see the rival with Tampa Bay, because them, they got to feel like a little brother, like what you said.
Sure.
Tampa being back-to-back like that, they got to really feel like little brothers. There's a chip on their shoulder of what they can do. Plus just the youth there. It's fun to watch that. And it's one of those things, if I'm going to be a fan, I want to be a fan where I feel like I have a chip on my shoulder as well, from people making fun of attendance or people making fun of the team being unsuccessful, or it's not the Bure days anymore kind of thing. So that would be my choice, I think.
Attendance we have definitely been guilty of. So next question. All
right. So what is your outlook on the Preds' future, both short term and about 3 years down the road? Are they set up well? Do you think that we're going to be like, obviously David Will doesn't want to call it a rebuild. He wants to call it, like, I guess, a rebranding or whatever.
Competitive rebuild.
Yeah, competitive rebuild. Do you think that's realistic, or do you think that we are in a rebuild?
They're not in a rebuild because they haven't done the necessary moves to actually make it a rebuild. That's the frustrating part. Had they embraced an actual rebuild, then I think this team would have been better set for the future 3 years down the road. That is the problem with doing a competitive rebuild, because you feel the pressure that they have to make the playoffs for money reasons, for income, for the organization to be successful, fan reasons. They can't really afford to lose all that money from ticket sales. And that's understandable because of the situation that they're in. They're still, even though they're more of a hockey town now, Nashville's still a small market when you think of the number of people that can watch, the number of sales and jerseys, all those kinds of things. It makes a small market. Small markets are meant to be something that's offensive. It's just that's the way the market is overall.
If we
it's
get
growing.
if we get real bad real quick, the fans
tough.
will turn on.
It's tough. And you have Nashville, like I was saying, Nashville SC and the Titans doing really well. The money's going to go there. There's so many things in Nashville being a full entertainment-based city. There's so many other things for local people to do that are competing for that money. So it's not a rebuild right now. They made some necessary moves. So I will commend them on that. The trading of Ryan Ellis, the trading of Victor Arvidsson, even necessary moves to clear up some cap space to sign some of these guys and to make availability for some of these young prospects to be able to play. That made some right moves. Not enough. That's the problem right now doing this competitive rebuild because they were not able to get rid of one of the two $8 million centers.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge move right there to give them longevity for the future because what you need for a successful Stanley Cup qualifying team, and even Tampa's done it, even though they had some guys take cuts and stuff to be there, you have to have a team that is built of some veterans, some guys right in their prime, and multiple players on their ELCs. That's what's going to win you a cup because you have people that's forming a cohesive unit. Nashville did not, in those 3 years where they were really pushing, did not have enough guys on ELCs. They were pushing to the cap, but it's because they were overpaying players. They still have that issue right now. They've adjusted a little bit. You have a decent prospect pool, but the problem is that they haven't sucked enough to have a really good prospect pool. They have a decent one, but they don't have guys that are projected to be first-line players, first-pairing players, because they haven't been bad enough. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it means they've been competitive. They made the playoffs. That's exciting for fans, things like that. But it's a bad thing for 3 years from now. It's going to be difficult for the cup window to still actually be open. They have to make more moves to say, hey, look, we're going to embrace that we want to give our young players more opportunities to play right now. And if they're bad, they're bad. If they're good, that's great. But could you please be a little bad?
Yeah.
That's what they really need right now to just say, hey, it's okay if we are struggling a little bit because we're going to get a top 5 pick where you potentially can get a generational talent in those picks. And the next 2 drafts are going to be extremely strong. So that's why it's difficult for me to see a positive outlook in the next 3 years. They could be competitive. They could be a wild card team, but it's not going to be enough.
It won't help. We're not going to win a cup, which is the ultimate goal.
Right. They don't have
and
enough.
we're not going to get enough later on to win a cup.
Right. They're banking on that special moment to happen that happened in 2017 where things just clicked at the right time. And that doesn't happen all the time. It just doesn't. You saw St. Louis do it, but they already had things. They went from worst to first. Well, they had all the pieces in place.
That was a once in a lifetime.
Well, and it honestly went a lot like the Canadians this last year, like where it traditionally happens of, you make this great run and then you don't win the cup.
Right.
And everybody always remembers us winning the Western Conference. But ultimately, we get to sit here and say we still don't have a cup. And it was a great run. And we were not in the same place that we are now where we've spent this much money. But we don't have a big market to where we can bring in that huge, big prospect and pay him what he's worth. I mean, we could. We tried it with Duchesne, and
like I said, Duchesne was Poyle's Great White Buffalo, and then we were 3 years behind on getting Matt Duchesne.
Well, we had been heard. We had heard that name for so long. He's going to get traded from Colorado to Nashville, and then he goes to Ottawa, and then he's going to get traded from Ottawa to Nashville, and then he goes to Columbus. And then we finally get to sign him, and we, in my opinion, overpay for him and really hurt the totality of our team overall. I really loved everything Justin had to say because it really sums it up so well.
Yeah, thank you.
So was this past season for the Preds a success? All things considered, even without a cup, even without a conference final appearance, would you consider this with what we had to work with a success?
Boy, if someone from the organization is listening, you're just setting me up to just be walking on hot coal right now.
Honestly,
they're gonna snatch that pass from
honestly, if someone from the organization is listening to the Pucks Out podcast, I'm going to be super impressed. Sorry we got you fired, Justin. But
no, okay. I'll give a broad answer and then my own personal direct answer. The broad answer is you can look at it as a success because of what the team went through and they still made the playoffs. Overall, it was not a success because they didn't make the moves they should have made at the trade deadline. They could have made for the betterment of the organization in the long run. In the short run, they made the playoffs. They had a couple decent games against Carolina, and then they pootered out. And then David Pohl still realized he had to make some moves because of cap space in order to re-sign the likes of Yusuf Saros, Dante Fabro, Ellie Tolvin, and all these other RFAs. So it is not a success to me because in February, I was like, what's going to happen? It's finally going to happen. They're being awful right now. They're going to finally trade off some assets at the trade deadline. This team's going to go into rebuild mode, and then 3 years from now, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Like for the fans and everybody, it's going to be exciting. They'll just have to suffer a little bit, but it'll be exciting. And then they went on the run, and they started playing really well. And it was good for them as a confidence of a team, for them like that. But it was too good of a run because they made it in. And Poyle was even saying before last year's playoff, when they were going in, when they were trying to do the play-in stuff, that they would either wanted to be already in the playoffs or just not in the playoffs, not right in between. Yeah. And they lost in the play-in round, and it made them have an awful place to be drafting in the first round. They have to embrace the suck a little bit. And it's not suck to say we're just going to be bad. It's the suck to say that we want to give young players an opportunity, and if they end up being good, they end up being good, then you know you found something that's a diamond in the rough. If not, then you know you're embracing something that is going to help you in the future because you're going to get a higher draft pick. Those are the things why I don't see it as a success, because they could have traded Ryan Ellis for way more than they did. They got a decent return for the time that it was, but they could have gotten a much better return at the trade deadline for Ryan Ellis. For other guys, they might have been able to trade a Ryan Johansson or a Matt Duchene at the trade deadline and even ate some of the cap, but at least you're getting rid of that contract overall. So there's a lot of moves that could have been made at the trade deadline that could have helped the team for the future. They weren't able to because they went on a run, so I understand why they didn't, but they still should have.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think, and one thing I've always said for a long time is that I think the Preds suffer from is that they are in an area where the fans, they're SEC fans. The fans, the entire base, they're of the mindset of, you lost the game? Mm-hmm. What do you mean you lost the game?
No, I would disagree. I would say we're more about the entertainment factor.
Are you sure? Have you seen Pred's Facebook?
Pred's Facebook is not a good gauge because
there are 29,000 people in my group.
Yeah, but that's like
that's a lot.
That's like 6%.
Just because you're not on Facebook, it's a good gauge.
That's
and
not
the fact
6%
is,
of the fan base.
It is both. They care about entertainment.
How many people are posting and stuff though?
All the time.
A lot.
All the
Not
time.
all 29,000 are posting.
No, but
or it's like 19 people.
Hey, hold
they're
up.
like,
I've been adminning this group for 14 years. Okay, I've seen the gauge of this happen. When you tease people with success, they don't know how to fall back on what it's like to be unsuccessful.
That's
they are the majority of fans. If they do if they win 5 games in a row, they're happy. You lose 2 games in a row, it's why is he starting him? Why isn't Pekka playing? Why play Pekka till he dies? That is the view of the they firmly are in the group of they because they've been raised in this format of you lose a game, you're out of the picture.
So used to 12 games or 11 games in a season.
Whereas you go to other places where life isn't all about SEC, and this is an 86 game season. You make the playoffs. Anything is possible. So we'll move on. One thing we do like to always ask is creating your fantasy hockey team with a twist. You pick the city. You pick the jersey, you pick the stadium. They can't all be from the same team. What would be your perfect, I guess, entertainment team?
Okay. So city, is that any city like in North America kind of thing?
Yeah. Any city
doesn't
you
have
want.
to be a current NHL
it could be
city.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
It can be a current NHL. It can be a current team. It can be whatever city you think you would love to own a team.
Okay, I would love to own a team, let's say in San Diego.
Okay.
Oh, San Diego.
Because the weather.
Doesn't that mean
whale's vagina?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
San
that's
Diego.
the loose translation.
Yes. San Diego. Jersey, I'm going to go with Montreal Canadiens.
Okay.
That's usually what I
nice
pick.
classic.
Yeah.
Nice
So classic.
Stadium. See, this is a good one because there's so many nice good ones, but do I want the classic as well? I'm going to go with this is difficult. I'm going to go with Madison Square Garden.
Nice.
In San Diego. So yeah, those are the 3 things. I think it'd be cool because of the weather, because I get tired of the humidity here, but at least in San Diego,
take an MSG to San Diego.
Yeah.
Brandon, so we've done this before. I don't know if you remember your picks last time.
I do not. We should probably just not answer again.
Well, I vaguely remember mine.
No doubt.
Now, I want to say that the jersey I picked last time.
Yeah.
What kind of question is that? I am offended. You thought I was sober.
The jersey I picked last time is still the jersey. I can't see myself picking anything other than the Islanders fisherman jersey.
Oh, man.
My favorite jersey of any team ever. It is and I remember I saw this, like, it was like a mock 30 for 30 about the absolute failure of that jersey. And I thought it was so funny because I'm like, I love that. I love that jersey. But, last time I did Quebec City,
Okay.
I think City, I'm sticking with California like you. Actually, you know what? I'm changing it up. I'm going to go outside U.S.
Okay.
Tijuana, Mexico deserves a hockey team. It deserves so that we can go on a trip there every year. Tijuana with the fisherman jerseys, and I'm going outside the NHL. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills Stadium outside in Tijuana, outdoor hockey in Tijuana.
We want to talk about outside the box.
I mean, listen, at this point, we've already picked them so many times. So I'm trying to mix it up a bit.
So I'm going to mix it up as well. I'm just going to pick a new, or maybe not new. I don't really remember what I picked last time. I'm going with, I love the Canes jersey, the black where it's Canes across diagonally.
Is that the one that has the hurricane flags, or it just says the letters Canes?
No, just the Canes.
I like the black ones
across
with the flag.
It's the Rangers copycat.
Yeah.
The Rangers copycat across the front.
But better.
I'm going as far as city. I am going to go
Baltimore
with Jacksonville, Florida.
Ooh.
Because I'm really trying to get the rednecks up in this
Duval?
game, dude. Yes. And then I'm going to go stadium. I'm going Talladega. I'm bringing Talladega. Talladega has hockey now in Jacksonville. Boom.
Joe Bob, where'd you get these tickets? I can't even see the rink.
Yeah, no doubt.
If that team makes the playoffs, they're playing hockey in Jacksonville, Florida in
outdoors
June.
in June.
Outdoors.
But I want the rink I want it to still be a circle like the race. I want there to be an infield. At Talladega.
Right off of A1A.
He's going around the third left. He might get to the goal here in a little bit. He missed it. He'll be back in a little bit.
He has got to go back around. He's pitting.
Straight out of Chell.
All right, so there's been so many maneuvers this offseason. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite maneuver? We talked about a little bit about it last. I said that it's not really a maneuver because he didn't move, but I love the Landeskog re-signing. Looking back at this UFA period, what was your favorite?
So everything aside from the organization's flops and failures, what they've been doing is so many other things. The moves the Chicago Blackhawks have made has made them at least a contender for to be a playoff team. Not a contender for the cup necessarily, but a contender for the playoffs immediately, jumping the Preds and everything, because what they've done is they've realized, we only have a few years left of Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, and Toews is healthy again. So let's see what we can do here by bringing in Seth Jones. I don't like the deal necessarily, but bringing in Seth Jones.
Vezina winning goaltender.
Right, and then signing McCabe, getting him to solidify the blue line. And then what they're able to do, too, with getting Fleury and getting him to agree to play. Because the thought was that if he gets traded, he was not going to play.
I thought he was getting flip-flops.
Right, so to get Fleury to play, the Blackhawks have basically shown the entire Central, hey, we're in this to make a run for the playoffs. Yeah. We are not in rebuild mode. We want to go to the playoffs this season. And they built themselves to be able to do that as well, too. So that's one of those things that they made a lot of those moves to showcase what they can still do while they still have time left with Kane and Toews.
Yeah. Listen, like I said, it hurt me down to my soul. Chicago had a great offseason, and props to them. They showed that, you know what? Some rebuilds, it doesn't take 5-6 years of being bad like you Los Angeles Kings. You can have a rebuild that's only 4 years. But talking a little bit more about maybe a quasi rebuild, during the expansion draft, Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, they were left available for the Kraken to take. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they didn't take either of them because of those contracts. But if it was up to you, would you get rid of Ryan Johansson or Matt Duchene?
Well, Matt Duchene first because of the term would be the big one. If for some reason that you have to but take some of the cap and eat it, then Johansson. Like if you cannot move either one of them, but a team says, okay, well if you pay $3 million of their cap hit, then we'll take it. Then it's Johansson because it's only for a few more seasons compared to more. It's like that 1 year difference makes a huge difference in terms of your cup window and everything like that reopening when you want to get some of the younger players re-signed. So that's the way I'm doing it, is the if-then scenario with that. Duchesne's a priority to get rid of because he is not working out whatsoever. At least with Ryan Johansson, you see glimpses of it in the playoffs. You see that he can possess the puck quite well. He can make others around him better when he is on his game. He has performed very well as a center, but not to what his contract is. He's not performed for $8 million. If Ryan Johansson was at a $6 million contract, I don't think you'd be hearing much complaining at all. People would want more out of him because you always want more out of players, right? But if it was $6 million with the same term, people would not have anywhere near as much of an issue with Ryan Johansson as that $8 million where they're going, ooh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, Duchesne would be the number one because he doesn't expire to 26-27. Johansson, if they want you to take a little bit of that cap, that salary, because it expires in 25-26.
And kind of going off script here, obviously Ryan Johansson, the past 2 or 3 years, and we saw it when we were in Minneapolis, he is a specialist at those shootout goals. Yeah. How important being a specialist in something like that is it in the NHL now, where there are no more ties? Obviously, when we look at who made it to the playoffs this last season, we saw how many overtime losses Dallas had compared to we did very well in the overtime and the shootouts this past season. And I think almost 50% of those you could probably credit to Ryan Johansson. How important is it in this league to have a specialist like that in the shootout?
So I would say this: if it's a matter of the only thing they're really good at is the shootout, I am not going to sign a player or give them extra money for 6 more points.
It's just like you don't sign a goon anymore.
You don't do that. But if all of a sudden you realize, oh, hey, he has some pretty good shootout moves, this is a nice addition to things, then maybe you include a bonus in the contract of if you score 3 shootout goals this season, you get an extra $25,000 or something like that. That's what I'd be okay with, a bonus structure to say, hey, there's a little bit of extra push to make sure you're converting on what your specialty is in the shootout. So Ryan Johansson is that, but I mean, I wouldn't sign a guy for that. I would say it's important to have that, but then again, it doesn't always work either. But yeah, the Predators actually, did decent before, which is surprising.
A little wild for us because we have not done.
We got real because Dallas had such an insane amount of overtime losses. They had 16, 17. That is the difference between them. I mean, that's that's 20 points. I think they left on the table. They left so many points on the table.
One of my favorite questions. Last question before we move into the next segment. Perfect NFL playoff format for you.
How many beers in are you, Brandon?
I cannot answer that question.
He did say NFL, right?
I thought he said. You might have said NFL.
Well,
I was doing some research.
It was a double. NFL format first, and then NHL.
Well, NFL format should be fight to the death. No.
Perfect. That is the perfect answer. Cut it, Bobby. We're done for the day.
NHL, the big thing for me is I want reseeding for every round.
Love that.
Because I don't want it to happen to where you have Nashville and Winnipeg playing each other in the second round when they should be playing in a conference final. That is the big thing to me. And to be honest, too, it'd be interesting to see if they change the way they did the divisions up again. And here's the thing. Let me just actually take a step back. I would love to see divisions similar to what they do more in the MLB. Because right now, the Eastern Conference doesn't travel anywhere near as much as any Western Conference team. They have a complete positive in terms of travel. You want to equal travel out, you go back to what the divisions were like before more than anything else. Yes, a little bit regional, but less regional more than anything else because you have Arizona joining the Central, the same division as Nashville, yet you have all the East in one time zone. One time zone. The Central spans 2 time zones, but how many miles is that? That is a lot to play a division game. That is ridiculous to me. Find a way to make that a little more fair to where every single team in the East is also having to do a similar amount of travel. You're never going to get it 100% equal, but try to find a way to equal it up even more because that's going to make it even more fair, I think, for teams as well. Then when you go into reseeding, I love that as well. As I want a reseeding in the playoffs more than anything else. And hey, maybe it doesn't have to be conference-wide. I'm not saying this is the preferred way, but if you just seed it overall and then you have it set up to where the 1 seed could be in a different conference as the 2 seed and everything like that, you just have the best wanting to play each other in the final. That's what it should come down to. Is I want the best teams that have won through the playoffs are playing for the Stanley Cup. It doesn't matter if you won your division. I know people are not going to like that because of tradition, but I'd love to just see the best teams overall playing.
Yeah. I've been saying for a while, and I always get given shit about it. 1 through 16 seeding, I think, should be, no matter what conference you're in. I love it. I think one time I was a little drunk and I accidentally said we should do 1 through 32. Everyone makes it in, but obviously no. I think 1 through 16.
I'm a 1 through 8 guy. I do think 1 through 8. I think that gives you the perfect combo of not having to reseed, but still getting different matchups each year.
But all right, before we move on to pop culture, I do have one quick question that kind of follow up from the beer side chats. We talked about UC Saros and his arbitration. Obviously, we have Askarov now, and we've been seeing a trend in the NHL with young goalies maturing quick. They are ready to come in sooner. Do you think that is something that Saros should be taken into account for his arbitration? Which is, the fact is, Askarov could be in about 2 years ready to come up and either start splitting time. I mean, just from the eye test of some of the highlights I've seen, I like what he has to offer. I think that he could be what we need in Nashville. So do you think Saros should be worried about his job with Askarov here now?
I mean, I think it's a little too early for him to think about that because then you're looking at least past 2 years and what he needs to be focused on, which is going to win a Stanley Cup and doing the best that he can, which is what he was doing to close out the season. And you think Saros is already 26. You sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal, he gets into 30, 31. Yeah. I mean, that's getting him to a point to where what's going to be next for him. So I think that's what the term is going to be important for him, is getting that 4 or 5 year deal in the term for his next deal. Because Askarov, for him, most likely I would say they're probably going to want to season him for a season in Milwaukee more than anything else, because he's going to have to get used to North American ice compared to the KHL, just used to the speed of the game. But he might see a few games in Nashville, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. But there's no sense in rushing Askarov with what he's doing, because I think the Predators will have Pecorini in the back of their mind too, that he was a late bloomer. He's a late bloomer. He was picked in a round that doesn't exist anymore. He was also drafted when he was the backup player in Finland. He's only seen in practice. They drafted him based what they saw in practice. So, and they didn't even rush him at whatsoever. So I think Askarov, you can be patient with him as long as you know Juuse Saros is there and healthy as well. You have other guys in the system that could be a decent backup. You have Riddick coming in, but you also have Ingram that could be a backup a season after that. Then you have Devin Cooley being in Milwaukee for a little bit too, and Tomasz Vomachka as well taken in there. So I think you have a good train right now for the Nashville Predators that's set up in the system to where you don't have to rush anything. So Saros doesn't have to be concerned about it, that you can be patient with the development of Askarov and not say, we need you, you're the savior right now as it is. Things can change after, one season. Things could change what you see out of Saros. But as it stands right now, you can be patient with the entire process and be confident that at least your net is taken care of.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was all great questions, great answers. We're going to move into our pop culture topic, which we're doing a MCU Heroes draft.
Real quick question, though, before we start the draft. Justin, your favorite Disney Plus Marvel series so far?
Oh, my favorite Disney Plus Marvel with Loki.
Yep.
Yeah, Loki, no question. Right?
Loki is great.
And we're going to get more of it, too, which makes it that much better.
I've loved all of them. I like how they're taking into account so many different aspects of just human nature and society and things like that. And
Tom Hiddleston.
But Tom Hiddleston was fantastic. And I also love the implications that Loki had on the rest of the MCU, like big implications. Yeah, WandaVision had implications for sure, because what's going to do more with the multiverse and everything. But Loki literally opening up the multiverse, that right there just changes everything for me.
Right. Well, WandaVision really just more built on a movie that we already knew was coming.
And I'm still salty about WandaVision because as someone who is a massive Mutants fan, X-Men Mutants above all, when they pull a bait and switch like that with Quicksilver, and I'm just like, I got real excited.
Ralph Boner.
And I'm just like, what? I'm like, you don't do that to people, man. But, all right, so we
recast Pietro.
So we are doing a snake draft. For those of you who don't know, this is much like a fantasy sports draft. We draft a team of, this is going to be 5 rounds. I pulled the number 1 pick, and so I will.
It really should be 6 rounds though to make it even.
Well, okay, 6 rounds. We'll do fine. So for the sake of this, we have excluded 2 characters because we believe that they are overpowered. Just like with the DC draft, we excluded Superman. Captain Marvel has been,
he's awful.
Well, I love Soups, but he's just too good for a draft. So we have excluded Captain Marvel from the draft and the strongest Avenger, which is Hulk, because it's too powerful. So with the number 1 pick in the Marvel Heroes Bucks Out Podcast draft, I am taking who I actually think is probably at the same strength of the strongest Avenger, and that's Thor.
See,
Thor is my pick. And now
my opinion, the clear 101. Yes. I don't know how everybody feels.
I mean, it was the clear 101 to me as well. Who's got the second pick?
That would be me. I am gonna go with, in my opinion, the next best choice, technology wise. I think I gotta go Iron Man here. I have to go.
Ooh, I don't like it.
I have to go. Nah, man. I mean, like most of all the dope.
I love your 3000,
suits,
buddy. I don't love that pick 3000.
All the dope suits, everything that's going on. I mean, you were talking about excluding Hulk. I mean, he controlled Hulk. He has technology to run the show. I gotta go Iron Man. Not my favorite, but I have to take that choice in my opinion.
All right, Justin, you got 2 picks back to back.
So I am so glad that my want for my first round pick was still available, because I believe that she has the power to manipulate, to do anything she wants, to control anybody. And that's Scarlet Witch, baby.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one.
That's a great choice, obviously.
She can do anything. With power, she can manipulate, she can change reality of anything that she wants to. She can take down anybody.
That's fair.
So
I'm already tilting now.
Well, you got a double. Double pick here. So.
I got a double pick, and so with that, in terms of a great team up for this, my second pick is going to be Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah, great pick.
Because if you want to mess with other Avengers that may be super powerful and have so much power within the universe, what do you have to do? You have to change the reality. You change reality, you change time and everything. That's what gives you an advantage. So those are my back-to-back picks.
Yeah, that's obviously great. And I mean, you know, I really missed my opportunity to take the Scarlet Witch.
That's why I was sitting back.
I'm not super worried about it, because I'm gonna mess with her mind with my second pick and take Vision. So
okay.
I'm gonna take Vision on my second pick.
All right, so now I've got the back-to-backs. Are you keeping track of these picks, by the way? I am not.
Oh, no, I was not. Was I supposed to?
All right, so I'm going.
Hold on. Can I get a TO? I mean, I guess keep going, but I need to
You're pulling a Carolina Hurricanes
I'll hype mine up.
I'm going to need a timeout on the draft.
My first.
We got for Justin, we got Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then you had Vision and I had Thor. So I've got 2 picks now back to back, and I'm happy with these guys because I think that, you know what? Scarlet Witch is a dominant force on the field.
But
you know what? She can't affect something if it doesn't have a brain. I'm going Ghost Rider.
Oh, wow.
So now I need a referee call.
Oh,
is he an MCU
You said
hero?
MCU, and I mean, no, he was never in the MCU movie.
I'm looking at a list here of MCU heroes, and he is on that. I don't know the reasoning for him being on there, but he is on there.
But it was said, though, that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is where Ghost Rider has appeared through the MCU being a thing, was also not canon.
Not canon, okay.
Oh, not canon. Take it out.
Okay.
But here's the thing. In fairness, since he went with it, I would give it to him. So
let's give it to him.
I would give it. I don't want to be that guy. Because
I think Ghost Rider is a solid.
Justin, you just give me the look, and I'll be that guy. I have zero problem with it.
No, I'm good with it. I'm good because I'm very confident in my first 2 picks that I'm okay with giving up Ghost Rider.
Now I'm going with a man who maybe wasn't always a hero, but he was the hero we wanted, and he was the hero we needed. He is the god of mischief, Loki. I'm sorry.
No,
you're saying he's not a hero. You're saying he's not a hero in Ragnarok?
No, I'm saying he's not a hero. He was a selfish person that wanted to get off and save himself.
Did he not try and kill
I
the
will
Mad Titan?
argue to the death.
Did he not give his
for
life
his own personal
Doesn't
gain?
matter.
Yeah.
Did he not try and give his life to kill the Mad Titan? Justin, you're the deciding factor here. Is Loki a hero?
No, I will fight this even if Justin decides that he
Loki is probably considered more of what, an anti-hero?
Anti-hero?
Yes.
An anti-hero more than anything else.
Okay.
So I mean, I was even thinking of potentially going with Loki, but if we're going heroes only,
Okay.
then
It's cool because I got a backup.
okay. As
This
long as you're
one
back,
is
I will
going-
be that guy in this one.
I think you're gonna. I think your main juggernaut here is gonna have a hard time fighting this guy.
Oh boy.
I'm going Quicksilver.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think she's gonna have a hard time going against Quicksilver.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about
Yeah.
Ultron
Quicksilver. That's all I
okay.
can do. But
I know.
everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everyone knows I'm talking about Sweet Dreams are made of this Quicksilver, but it's what I get.
Okay, so is it my back-to-back again?
Or
is it...
I think
It's me again. I'm up on the clock. Whew, this is tough. I'm tilting over here, for being honest.
You can do this.
I'm looking at this picture of this one guy on this list, and I can't figure out who it is.
Oh, that's from Ragnarok.
Oh, is he one of the ones like who was with Korg?
Yeah, with the blades.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm gonna go with what I
You want
hope.
Iron Fist.
What I hope. I'm gonna go with what I hope. At this point, I feel like the fight-wise, I'm done. Okay, either way, either two of your teams, I'm done on a fight. So I'm hoping people don't look at the potential fight and give me the votes based on the person. I'm gonna go with Spider-Man.
Okay.
And mostly because at this point I've got to try to scrounge up some votes, and people see Spider-Man's name and they vote for it. So
you're going for populism here, huh?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Honestly, Spider-Man is. I mean, as long as you get
he's
the,
great.
As long as
He's
you get the
great.
right Spider-Man, you're good.
Right, and he's also extremely intelligent
Oh,
Yeah.
for developing
I
technology
mean, he's not.
and everything too.
He's
so.
not terrible. It's
No,
not. That's
no.
not what I'm saying. I'm just
yeah.
saying at the fight point.
The
I've
fight,
like
yeah, the
really.
Now I know we specified MC, but which Spider-Man would you take if you had a choice? I know. Are you taking Tobey Maguire? Are
No,
you
I'm taking
Tobes?
Tom. I'm taking Tom Holland. But I mean, if we had to choose, yeah, I mean, Tobey Maguire's my
I feel
guy.
like Spider-Pig would also be a solid pick.
No, but I'm taking
Nice
Tom
to meet
Holland. I'm taking Tom Holland because he has Iron Man's and Tony Stark's,
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, he's got
which is why I picked him.
Okay. All right. So is it finally my turn again?
Yes.
It is your turn.
and it's
for
back-to-back
Yeah,
again?
you got
your
back-to-backs.
back-to-back picks.
Okay. So my next one is going to be Shang-Chi,
Okay.
because that's again being able to manipulate things and having lots of power with the power of the 10 rings and everything as well, which I cannot wait for that movie coming out very, very soon. But he is MCU hero, so there's that. And then the next one after that, because of intelligence and for weapons development, I'm going with Shuri.
Ooh.
Because imagine what she could develop knowing the powers that are on her team.
Yeah.
Extremely intelligent.
That's good. All right, so we're back to me, and here's a guy who has all of the same strength as both Thor and Odin. A guy who will be a leader on the team, not to mention easily the best actor in the MCU. I'm taking Heimdall.
Oh, I knew you were going with that.
Heimdall, because he can also teleport them around the map. He's,
Yeah.
I mean, if this is a battle royale, he is a clutch support character in this.
Yes, he is.
Now I'm tilting because I'm not sure who I also want. Is this my last pick, Brandon?
It's gotta be.
This will give you 1, 2. This will be your 5th pick. I guess we should make it a 5-round draft, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like mainly because we're going off the MCU, a guy he can
yeah.
he can
I'm only at 3 people.
he's a leader. He
All
is
right,
I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he can do it all day. Captain America. Because that, you know what? He's the motivation that team needs. Was that the last pick of the draft, or is there more?
I guess. I mean,
I
you have 5. I have 3. Justin
four.
has 4. I don't know how this has happened, but yeah.
Because I think I was supposed to go before, and then you guys skipped me.
All right,
Probably
so
so.
you go. I think the keeper of the Bix over there kind of. So, Justin, you go.
I was the keeper. I'm just writing down what people choose. That
I
doesn't
think
mean
he
I'm
needs
the
to go, doesn't
guardian.
he?
Yeah, I definitely need to go at
He
this
definitely
point.
needs to go because he's at 3. So what you got?
Man, I am mega
This is what
tilting
happens when
over
you drink a
here.
bunch before the show.
I know. I'm gonna go with Groot.
That's actually who I
Okay.
was thinking about going with because you know what? He's
Yeah.
a solid support.
I mean, at very least, I get to enhance the world tree wise. So
Well, so do I need to go, or does Brandon need to go one more time? Because I was the 3rd pick, so
if you go,
I finished the draft, right? I'm supposed to finish the draft.
I think technically I was supposed to finish the draft, right? Because it comes back to me.
We both have 4. I think you go, and then I'll go again, and then
Yeah.
we'll all be
People
at
that are
5.
listening are like that. You can tell they've been drinking while recording.
Because they're like, guys, they've been calling us wrong all this whole time.
If
Right.
you just go, and then I'll get the 5th pick. It's all
You just want,
It's
you just
all
want me to
good.
go?
Yeah, just go. It's all
Okay. So for my last pick, this is actually pretty difficult for me because I'm trying to balance. As you can tell, I'm balancing manipulation, power with different types of things, with time, as well as mind, as well as what people can do with technology too. So this makes it very difficult. But for me, what I'm going to do to offset the Spider-Man pick is I'm going with Miles Morales.
Oh, that's a great pick. That is a great pick. I am gonna go a little off script because I wanted to combine the forces with my Groot with Rocket, but I feel like no, I need to
Little more
need to
oomph,
go.
A little more power.
Well, more.
Brandon's gonna be like,
of-
I'm actually, guys, I'm a villain, so Thanos to me was a hero. So like,
I need to go with a little bit more of a specialist in my mind. I'm gonna go with Ant-Man.
wow, that's a solid pick. I feel
so-
like Yellow Jacket would have been the better one, but you're locked in.
Yellow Jacket is
As a villain.
Oh, I'm thinking of Wasp. Sorry, Wasp.
No.
Because Wasp has guns as the shooters.
And wings.
And wings.
Well, I mean, the going small is
Her
the
suit
biggest
has
thing.
wings?
The Wasp ball can also go small, though. Isn't that the whole point?
Or,
Yeah, but I mean,
Giant
Not
Man.
small enough.
Not small enough. I'm sexist, so
He's like, let's just not beat around the bush here.
no. It was mostly because I'm a big,
Paul Rudd
Paul
fan.
Rudd fan.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm not confident in my team.
Let's give the rundown. We need the
What's the
rundown.
rundown
Okay.
over there?
So, Bobby has Thor, Ghost Rider, Quicksilver, Heimdall, and Captain America.
I like that team.
It's a pretty good team.
It's a good team.
It helps when I got to skip a bunch of people. Apparently.
Mine, Iron Man, Vision, Spider-Man, Groot, and Ant-Man.
Not great.
Which is not as bad on the second read.
Oh, here. Wait, Brandon, your team will be the best at quips.
Yeah. You know what? You get
Which is what I'm the
honestly,
best at,
we might just
personally.
honestly, you can just get an extra guy in Star Lord. Not going to do much. Actually, he might screw you over at the end of the day. But
No, I
super
will
passive
not
aggressive.
take him. I'll take Rocket, but I will not take Star-Lord. He ruined the
But
show.
the best one-liners is Brandon's
yeah.
team.
Justin has Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Shuri, and Miles Morales.
That's a strong.
It's a
team.
strong team for true Marvel fans. But when this is on Twitter, they may not know most of the folks, which is what I'm banking on. I went with the
Okay.
folks knowing folks. No, honestly,
Wait till I activate my nerds.
Yeah, I'll put this on the MCU Reddit page. And,
Oh boy, that's where you'll.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of stuff we can't
Honestly-
say online, but
honestly, I feel like I have the most popular team, but the worst fighting team. I feel like I'd lose the
I don't
fight.
know, man. Thor and Captain America are a strong popularity contest.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I'll just
but nobody knows who Quicksilver even
I'll just
is.
have my
Boner.
coach. I'll just have my
Yeah.
coach who's Bruce Banner tell them to take their shirts off, and immediately they're getting 1,000 votes on Twitter.
Oh my god.
Well, my coach is
'Cause that's
Kara
America's
Danvers,
ass.
okay? Kara Danvers coaching the old team over here. So,
and I don't have.
Clearly-
I am the coach.
but this is long-haired Kara
Yeah,
Danvers.
clearly, you've
so
never
I've
been on
got-
Twitter because you're probably your biggest weakness on Twitter is Karen Danvers.
Well, don't tell them they're my coach or whatever. So,
Oh my goodness.
But all right, guys. We are gonna do we're running long, so we're gonna get a quick this or that before we head out.
Time to cast your vote. Vote your cast. Choose your pick. Pick your choice. Make a decision and take a side for this or that.
I had to do a double take. I was like, when did we add a motorcycle sound to this? But like we like to do during our live shows, thank you again to Charlie Saunier for doing these drops for us. So we're going to end the show off with a quick this or that. Would you rather drive a creepy ice cream truck or the Wienermobile for the rest of your life? Justin, why don't we start with you?
Oh, Wienermobile, 100%.
Really?
Yes.
Do you get the items inside?
That's what I was going to ask. Because if you get creepy, I'll be creepy all day if I get ice cream.
Yeah, but if it's creepy, does that mean the systems are actually functioning to keep it cold?
I mean, just because he's creepy doesn't mean he doesn't like his job.
If you were driving the Wienermobile, do you realize how much free stuff you're going to get from people that want a picture with the Wienermobile?
True. Very true.
You're going to get all the attention whereas you're driving a creepy ice cream
but
truck.
Listen, everyone knows the Wienermobile. Chicks dig it.
No, I'm going to be able to buy all the stuff because I'm going to charge people for the ice cream and then
They're
never
not coming
give
to the
it
creepy
to them.
one. They're not coming to the creepy one.
Dude,
To
ice
be
cream.
completely honest, in 2021, every ice cream truck is creepy. There was a perfectly decent ice cream truck.
Stores.
There was an ice cream truck coming.
Both of these things are creepy.
It is. Well, I guess I forget when school is in, so it was like Thursday at like, I don't know, 12 o'clock, and I hear that I'm like, why is there an ice cream truck? That's weird. And I'm like, oh, kids are in somewhere, but I'm like, that guy's weird. He's driving an ice cream truck. It's a perfectly legitimate ice cream truck, not creepy at all. I'm like, that's weird. Dude, don't do it. It just screams like, I don't know.
Why is that ice cream truck playing WAP?
Honestly, I
Free stuff, no free stuff. If I get just the first time I ever get it, it's filled with ice cream, I'm in. Because I love ice cream so much.
But I'm thinking long game. I'm thinking the long game here, and the Wienermobile is 100% long game.
I can't imagine how hard it would be to park with the Wienermobile if you're driving it for the rest of your life. Like, imagine like, oh, I've got to go to New York for some reason. Trying to navigate that Wienermobile in Manhattan.
You should fly.
Yeah.
At that point.
I mean, at that point, you just got to realize where you need to place your meat.
That's a great way to
door.
Yeah.
The back door, right?
No, best way to end this show. Again, thank you so much, Justin Bradford, and thank you, Mayday Brewery, for having us. We will
shout out to our boy Ozzy.
Shout out Ozzy. Justin, thanks for being here with us, man. You. And hey everyone, get ready for a great season of hockey, and we will see you all next week.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Pucks Out Podcast. To see what other ridiculousness the guys are up to, check them out on Twitter and Instagram @PucksOutPod.